The People's Party, or the Populist Party, as it is better known by, is a political party based among the southern population. The majority of their members were farmers who had a hostile opinion of banks and big business. In 1896, the Populist Party's candidate, William Jennings Bryan, was nominated by the Democratic Party to run for office. Bryan focused on the nation's economic state and suggested a transfer from the use of the gold standard to that of the silver standard. Bryan is best known for his Cross of Gold speech that gave him enough support to greatly increase his chances of winning. Ultimately, Bryan lost to the Republican candidate, William McKinley, by a margin of 600,000 votes, approximately a tenth of all who voted in that election. Bryan would run for office again in the year 1900, but be defeated by McKinley once again, leading to the ultimate downfall of the Populist Party.
Today I am here with 26th President of the United States, Theodore Roosevelt. Mr. President, is it true that you despise big business?
Not at all. Our country relies on businesses to make profits and benefit the economy just as much as we rely on farmers to produce foods. I have nothing against big businesses. I only wish for the consumer products from said businesses to be protected from as many harms as possible.
But what about the nickname you're known by, the Trust Buster?
Son, do you think I have any say in the nicknames given to me?
Well, no.
Then there's your answer. Now let's have some reasonable questions, if that's all right.
Right away, sir. What inspired you to take large portions of land and create national parks out of them?
A lifetime of adventure and outdoors, my boy. One can only appreciate the outdoors if they spent a large amount of time there. They can also realize what dangers the outdoors are in from us humans overstepping our boundaries. Never challenge nature, son. You'll always lose in the end.
Okay then. What are your opinions on the actions taken by your successor, William Taft?
That blockhead is going to drive this country to the ground. He's not acting in the best interest of the people. He's acting in the name of his own publicity. Some men were born with good judgment. Taft is not one of those men.
But didn't you originally support his campaign the first time he ran for office?
Boy, do you think any man can be perfect? That there's a man out there that can make no mistakes?
Well, no.
Then don't expect me to be perfect. Didn't I already tell you to ask reasonable questions? I believe that you wasted enough of my time. Good day, sir.
But the interview. Well, that's it for today's interview, folks. Nick DeSassa signing out. During American industrialization, the safety of the American people wasn't a big concern. Rancid, tainted meat was distributed. People died in factory accidents, even lost limbs using equipment, and a majority of the time, if a finger was chopped off, it would just go into the grinder along with the putrid beef and borax to make sausage. It was during the early 1900s that the American safety issue was finally addressed. Upton Sinclair's The Jungle revealed the conditions of Chicago's unsanitary, unsafe meatpacking industry. The novel caused Teddy Roosevelt to push meat safety acts and food and drug acts onto Congress in 1906 to help clean up factories around the country. This novel wasn't the only occurrence that constituted increased safety standards in America. In 1911, there was a fire in a clothing factory in Manhattan. The fire at Triangle Shirtwaist Factory caused 146 deaths. These deaths would have been avoided if adequate inspections had been performed on the factory, and the locked doors and crowded work areas were done away with. The fire at Triangle Shirtwaist Factory resulted in the creation of two new organizations. These organizations were the Bureau of Fire Prevention and the Factory Investigating Commission. Both organizations were established in New York after the fire to help prevent further tragedies.
Hello, Mr. Sinclair. It is nice to meet you. May I ask you a few questions?
It's nice to meet you, Mr. Gaeta. I'm sure that would be fine.
Okay. So, Mr. Sinclair, what was your sole purpose in writing your book, The Jungle?
My main purpose of writing my book, The Jungle, was to show the corruption of big business. I wanted to show the unfair wages workers were paid and also the unsanitary conditions they had to work in.
Do you think that your message had gotten through to your readers?
Yes, my book The Jungle had been a big hit throughout the nation. It captivates the minds of the readers in a way that it opened their eyes to the unsanitary conditions of the Chicago meatpacking industry.
So, Mr. Sinclair, even though your intended message did not get through to your readers, do you still think The Jungle was a success?
Yes, I do believe The Jungle has been a major success and influence on the nation. It has changed the meatpacking industry in a tremendous way. We don't need to worry about eating the unsanitary meat we had eaten previous to the release of my book. The government has now set regulations on the meatpacking industry to keep our food healthy and safe to eat.
That'll be all for today, Mr. Sinclair. Thank you for your time.